Hey, what is going on YouTube? Aaron here. We have got quite the game for you. No clickbait in this one, guys. This actually is a 5 out of 6 kill Kraken in a mini game. And you guys know my thoughts on the mini games. And I actually want to almost prove a point with this game, but we're going to wait till the end. We are playing with Tuna Man and Bravo here, and we just have a little bit of a fun time just kind of being aggressive in this mini game. Now we are in the Albermarle, and the Albermarle is one of those ships that can be very good or very bad. In competitive gameplay, you will most likely not see an Albemarle due to its just, I don't know. It's just one of those ships that you kind of have to get the right game in order to make it work. Now, it's not a bad ship, but it's definitely not a good ship. That Citadel and the lack of armor kind of makes you very susceptible to getting blapped. The British cruisers are known for having gigantic citadels, but the light cruisers more so can put out that DPM to kind of make up for it, and they also have the smoke, whereas the heavy cruisers, they do have the utility of radar. They lack that versatility with the smoke. So if you can position yourself well, but again, this is like a mini game, and we're just trying to be fun. We're trying to quote-unquote have fun with it, so I position myself pretty poorly here, but we know that there's only one battleship, so I'm not too worried about it. We see this Akatsuki, and we were detected fairly close to the cap, and he kind of mispositions himself, so we go ahead and smack him for a good amount of health, as well as him getting shot by pretty much all of our team, and we're going to go ahead and remove him from the board, and that is a very easy kill right off the bat. And I want you guys to, there's something I want you to do. I want you to remember all these kills and positions and things like that, because like I said, I have a point at the end of the video that I want to make, and I think it's going to be a good one. So it might upset a few people, but just stay tuned to the end of the video. In the meantime here, we have a Miyoku pull out broadside in front of 4 ships. And unfortunately, he doesn't lose as much health as we want him to, but we get a good broadside here, and we smack him for, I believe, 1 Citadel. So, yeah, 1 Citadel, and the other shells, I think, landed a little too far forward. But playing a Japanese cruiser like that is maybe not the most effective. Now, he does get good position later on, so we will give him credit for that, but you usually want to play the Japanese cruisers at range, using a little bit of their agility, maybe out on the flank. That's not to be said they can't utilize island cover. I think anyone that can utilize island cover should, except for maybe certain battleships. But like we mentioned earlier on, we're just going to be aggressive with it. And I know that some people said they had fun in the mini games and stuff like that, and I absolutely love the arena seasons, especially the first one. The first arena was that was the best thing Wargaming has ever done. The tier 5, the no power-ups, I think there's few adjustments that could be made personally, but again, nothing is, you're not going to please everyone. But we know that there was a destroyer in the middle here, so we went ahead and popped our hydro. I hate taking torpedoes necessarily or unnecessarily even, but that destroyer's in the middle here, and we kind of put ourselves in a position, and like we mentioned, we're just going to YOLO here, so I'm going to go ahead and push in. The strategic competitive mindset that is my brain in this game, which is this game is like chess. You don't want to position yourself too far forward, you don't want to position yourself too far back. You want to make sure you can get the strikes, and that is part of the strategy of this game, which is why I enjoy it. It's a strategy game with guns, and cool naval boats and history and things like that. Now we know that it's not historically accurate, but how would you get destroyers to be fair in this game, right? Just give them less than 5-kilometer concealment. No, that's a joke. But we see that there is 3 or 4 of the 5 ships on this side, so we're just going to put our British cruiser in a very tricky spot. We know that the destroyer was in B, so we're trying to figure out where he is. We're not detected here, so either he's working his way in behind us, as our Suzuya donates all of their health to the Charles Martel there. So we're going to go ahead and launch our torps. We see this Missouri coming around. And in a British cruiser, you do not want to be 7 kilometers from an Iowa-class battleship. Now, we know it's a Missouri, but Missouri was an Iowa-class. So as the Surrey donates all of their health. So it looks like everyone on our team is getting Debstruck at this point. Now, Tuna Man does a fantastic job here of putting his Bismarck in a good position to be effective. He is utilizing his secondaries, his turtleback armor, and we see the smoke screen there, and we know that the destroyer is right there. So we're going to go ahead and try and get a few shots, maybe a damaged con popped in this Iowa while our torpedoes are on the way, and we're also going to radar this Summers. Anytime you can shoot a destroyer and get him off the board, you should do so. Now, we noticed that the Summers is backing up and then all of a sudden starts to go forward. So that should be an indicator to you, and again, pay attention to what I'm saying, that he is launching torpedoes. So we're stationary right now, and we see that this Missouri's coming around. We're going to angle to him, even though he can overmatch every part of our boat. And so we're going to angle to that Missouri and shoot at the Summers and also go forward at this time. I think Bravo, as you see us lose half of our health, if we were broadside there, we would have lost more. We go forward here and dodge the Summers torpedoes, and in the meantime, we go ahead and lose our torpedo, actually, but that's why you save your damage con for these situations and launch our torpedoes short. Why are we launching them short while switching to AP and looking to the right? We're launching them short because the Missouri was slowing down. So we get 1-2 torps as Tuna gets his high caliber there, and as this Miyoku goes broadside. So loaded the AP smartly, and unfortunately we do not get the dev strike, but we did get the double strike as well as the high caliber and the beautiful shot on the Miyoku. We were going to get the dev strike because he had less than half health, and that is how you get a dev strike, even though it says one salvo, but I've gotten it in multiple salvos. So yeah, a fun game nonetheless, and we can see here that high caliber is 65,000 damage, so not a lot of damage on the board, but still we have done 30% of it, and combined with our teammate Tudaman here, he's a great player, we have done 60% of the overall damage in this game. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but this Hipper came in the stream afterward and said good game, and he actually plays this fairly well here. I think his name was Ned in the stream, or somebody, I'm not exactly sure, but he is angling to us. He's not giving up complete broadside right away, but he does see that Bravo is in the middle there with his torpedoes, and of course, Bravo, being the absolute bot that he is, misses his torpedoes. It was probably due to the USS Black having the slowest torpedoes ever on a destroyer, but nonetheless he missed those, as well as the Hipper probably having hydro active. Now you saw us aim a little bit high there, and honestly guys, I am just aiming high regardless anymore, because shells, I think it's a problem with auto aim. I know some people don't want to believe it, but those people are generally just uninformed and don't necessarily know how the game works. Shells do land a little bit short, and I think it has to do with the ellipse. I don't think if you aim correctly, shells land short all the time, but sometimes, especially on leading targets, you will aim at the ship and they will land hilariously short. And that is just very frustrating. So I aim high anymore, and by aiming high, you hit the upper belt of most ships, so you should be getting full penetrations. And if the shells land short, then you'll get the citadels by RNG's chance. Now we know that there is an ellipse formed, but regardless of people being uninformed about the game, we got 4 out of the 5 kills here and 80,000 damage. So a fun little engagement nonetheless, and I'm going to go ahead and speed up to the final kill here, because I don't want you guys to sit around for too much of the game, and I also have a point, like we said, I also have a point about this game that I want to prove at the end here, so I will see you guys in the future. So here we are a little bit sped up as this Charles Martel actually comes back around. I have to give him credit for not running and fighting. He knows that, or not running and hiding and fighting instead, as we get our Confederate, which means we damaged all 6 ships, because that's the only way to get a Confederate, is by damaging 20% of at least 6 of the ships. So a one-man wrecking crew here with a little bit of help from our teammates. I do have to give them some credit. And I also, like I said, I have to give a little bit of credit to this Charles Martel for not running and prolonging the game, and also giving me the opportunity for a Kraken. So a fun little duel here, and this is actually kind of fun. I enjoy these cruiser engagements, and I had fun with the 1v1s, but 1v1s are different than the overall playstyle of this game, and people just fail to realize that. They think that YOLOing in with a German ship and torpedoes is like, oh, I'm better than you in a 1v1. And no, a 1v1 to me is like, okay, this Charles Martel, he did his job on his flank, I did my job on mine, how much health do we have left? And that is why it's important to pay attention to your position. But we actually get semi-lucky with the torpedo here. It's not really lucky because we threw it out in advance, but it causes him to turn in, so he has lost a little bit of his maneuverability. If he's able to turn maybe a little bit sooner, he gets his torpedoes off, but I want to make sure that I at least get the kill here. And I go ahead and launch my torpedoes, and I shoot a tad bit too early, but we start our heal and our damage con to get I think we got the Dreadnought and the Kraken there. So just a fun game in the Albermarle. And let's go ahead and look at the final scoreboard here as we get a good little flex on screen for you guys. But yes, the Dreadnought, the Confederate, the High Caliber, the Double Strike, and the Kraken. 2,800 base experience. And now comes the point in the video at which I want to do a little teaching. So for everyone that just watched that, they thought, wow, that was an incredible game. And I don't want to take anything away from it. It was a decent game. But guys, I mispositioned multiple times throughout that game. Now the ending engagement was a good little battle, and he almost got us, and we got him, as multiple teammates were shooting at him. But I YOLO'd in there, and I got lucky with my team and the other ships just putting themselves in the wrong position. We saw that the Miyoku sailed out broadside. We obliterated the Akatsuki in 2 minutes there. And the point I'm trying to make is these mini games do not make you a better player. Yes, it was fun, but just YOLOing in and mispositioning yourself and getting lucky does not make you a better player. Now, in the 1v1, it is fun to practice those engagements, and without training rooms, that's the only way to do it. But beating up on players who think that the other console is the worst console is not necessarily, it's not making you a better player, is the point I'm trying to provide. Positioning yourself correctly, saving your health, utilizing your ship to its fullest is a way to make yourself a better player. I saw comments like, well, you just get lucky crossfires. Well, crossfires are part of the skill of this game. If you're not developing crossfires in your ships, then you're not playing the game correctly. Also, I saw comments like, well, I hate getting broadsided in the larger games. Well, you're not positioning correctly. If you're constantly getting broadsided, you didn't put your ship in the right spot. Now, sometimes it happens. I was broadside in that game. I've been broadside before. I've been caught broadside, but if you're constantly getting deleted, you're not positioning your ship correctly. 80% of this game is putting your ship in the right spot to be effective. Most ships in this game can deal damage in one fashion or another. You just have to put the ship in the right spot. Some ships are a lot better at it than others. Some ships are a lot worse than others, and that is part of the fun. So that is kind of my opinion on that game. I also made up a lot of the tactics and things that I said throughout the game, which is why I don't like using recordings. But you guys know this. If you go back and watch that live stream, I just YOLO rushed in and put myself in a terrible spot in front of that Missouri. And I feel like that's sometimes what a lot of people say or do, is they'll go back on their recordings and make themselves sound a lot better than they actually were. Now, we still finished the game well, but again, does that make me a better player necessarily for hopping into a division with crossplay off and beating up on people that are not in a division? I personally don't think so, but it turned out to be a fun game nonetheless. So let me know what you guys think. That was it's kind of a counter to Hipper's video where it's like, he's like, I think the mini games are better. It's like, well, maybe so, maybe not. I don't like doing these counter videos because people think that it's like, oh, well, Aaron hates it, Hipper or whatever. And no, that's not the case. I just wanted to almost prove a point, and I think we got the point across there fairly well. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let me know what you guys think down below. Hey, run out. Peace.